My salutation to the Purusha who is manifest in the forms of the brothers and sisters of Geneva, America and Belgium. I am particularly thankful to the members of the IPS for having given me this opportunity to say a few sentences before such august audience. I may introduce myself as Homoeopathy-1 from India. I am allowed to work with the World Teacher Trust, and I am blessed to work with a teacher like of the stature of Krishnamacharya. This evening he speaks to all of us on some basics of homeopathy. Homeopathy is a method by which he spreads his net to catch the souls that are ripe for treading the path. It was said by the Christ to his disciples, "Go out and fish out for the souls that are ripe to tread the path." In the same fashion, he was asked to fish out people who are in problems in the day-to-day life in India and elsewhere, and he spreads his wide net through the science of homeopathy. People who are ill come to him for medicine. The illness can be three types, as he has mentioned yesterday: physical, mental and something else. As they approach him with a smile from his lips and with the looks of the brilliance that he has with him, he attracts them, and as a result a few of them are recruited into the path of service. This is what I have been observing over 12 years, and I am sure this evening, with the basics of homeopathy, basically we would be caught in the net. Let all of us be hooked to the one plan, the plan which the masters know and serve. Harihi
Expected to deal with the basics of homeopathy. It is technical by nature. Since the lecture is intended to those who are not too technical in the particular subject, I will try to be as straight, simple and non-technical as possible. And in fact, that is the better way of introducing a subject. In any science, the technicalities do not include the science itself. Any technical terms form the skeleton of the subject, but not the flesh and blood. The unity of the subject, the synthesis of a subject exists in the human philosophy, which is basically the same everywhere. Just as any other relevant subject, homeopathy also deals with the real human values and the medical values only in a non-important and secondary way. In any scientific system of medicine, the main part of the science consists of the human values, and the unimportant part consists of the technical values. The technical part of any subject becomes the necessary limitation of the subject. It is the same with homeopathy also. Yesterday, I talked something about homeopathy when I spoke about the three ways of understanding a disease and health. Now, the basic difference between the present popular way of understanding disease and health and all the other systems is that the popular system takes disease as the main part, as the field of study, and restoring health as the secondary part of it. And all other systems, including homeopathy, deal with health as the main thing to be understood and not disease. So to say, we are familiarized with what is health and the methods to restore health and not to kill disease. That is the difference between the one system which is popular now and all the other systems, ancient and most modern. We have ancient systems and modern systems which are in agreement with what I said. That is, trying to teach to the medical student what is health and what is disease mainly. First of all, making the student understand what is natural, and then only allowing him to know that which is a distortion from the natural phenomena, and then allowing him to call it by the imaginary name disease, and in fact not encouraging him to name each disease very differently, because the name disease is enough for any disease, and it is a temporary distortion from the natural state of constitution. The more we are allowed to name different diseases definitely, the more we go into specialization of disease, and the original state of the human constitution would go out of sight gradually. So, in this respect, all the ancient and modern systems are in accordance with each other. The most ancient system called Ayurveda, it takes health as standard and disease as something distortion from the natural condition. Same thing with homeopathy. Same thing with what we call naturopathy. Same thing with the basics of dietetics. Same thing with Yeskada, a new dimension which has sprung up from homeopathy. Same principle in acupuncture. Finding the natural stream of flow of life through vehicles and finding sensitive centers which exist as pains. Like this, all these systems are in accordance with each other to define what is health and not what is disease, to explain what is health, and to instruct us to maintain the healthy condition, and then only to allow us to know something about the cure of diseases. The one system which is popular now, which we call allopathy, teaches us directly more about disease than of health, and leads us into the labyrinths of the specializations of various diseases. It teaches us how one disease differs from the other, and how to detect a disease in its minutest manner, how to aim at it and shoot it. Since we are expected to deal with the basics of homeopathy, we pass on directly to the system that is in accordance with all the other systems. The first principle that is inculcated by the master of homeopathy is to cure the person, not to treat the disease. Unless we keep it in mind as the top heading, we fail to do justice when we start the homeopathic way of treating. If your friend asks if there is a medicine for toothache in homeopathy, you are expected to answer that there is no medicine for toothache if you are a true homeopath. But if you give him the name of a medicine for toothache, you will be unfailingly understood as a quack by a real homeopath, because it is basically and fundamentally wrong according to the homeopathic system. Similarly, if anyone asks you if there is a good remedy for headache, the real homeopath answers no. For stomachache, the answer is no. For arthros, the answer is no. Then what for is homeopathy? You have a true medicine for a person who is suffering from arthros, but you have no medicine at all for a disease called arthros. You have a true medicine for the person suffering from toothache, no medicine for toothache at all. This is the first basic fundamental principle of homeopathy. And the master warns us by opening up, saying that the only duty of the physician is to heal the sick. That means the sick person, and not at all a disease. You may feel that there is no difference between the two, but there is only what is called difference. There is no similarity. I tell you, Mr. X is having toothache. If you ask him how his toothache will be if he makes a touch of cool water, he says, naturally very bad. Because when I am suffering from toothache, if I touch it with something ice cold, all the nerves from the ear and from the eyeball and from the nose, they pull back. Quite natural. And then you ask him how your toothache will be if you touch a glass of hot coffee. He says, naturally very good, soothing. Because whenever there is toothache, if I touch with something hot, it will be very good. He feels that it is quite natural. There is another patient, Y, who comes to you having toothache. Offer him some coffee. No. How can a person suffering from toothache endure things warm? He says, if you can give some water from the fridge, I can keep the water for a few minutes on the tooth, and it will be very, very soothing. You ask him why. He says, it is quite natural.
Right.
Oh, we have two naturals, one opposing the other. Therefore, we understand that the two are unnatural.
Right.
Because to have toothache is unnatural.
Okay.
Therefore, we have two persons having unnatural dispositions. And a person who is not having toothache at all can be called natural. So, when the homeopath is asked to prescribe for the two persons, he should not look for the word toothache in the homeopathic dictionary. Then he will fail miserably. He should select a medicine where he finds this symbol, that is very soothing amelioration, by applying something cool, and then prescribe this medicine for the second term. And he should select, search for a medicine where the same symbol is given for something hot. So, if you can select a medicine which indicates that the patient is much better by applying something hot, then it suits the person, the first one who is having toothache. And the first remedy suits the second person having toothache.
Very right.
So, if you search for toothache, you will fail because you have not carried the first principle of homeopathy. This is because the fact is toothache is not a disease at all. It is the result of a disease which is there deeper in the person.
Right.
No use of fighting with results and ultimates. This is the one principle which we have to take into consideration. So very important in homeopathy that it becomes the first and the last principle also to remember. The second basic principle, minimum medication. He is a real homeopath who believes in medicating a patient to the minimum required necessity. This is because we have two types of people who believe in cure. The one type of people believe that medicines cure diseases. The other set of people believe that medicine stimulates life force to cure itself. It makes all the difference. Then we believe in the first principle. Naturally, we believe in taking as many medicines as we feel required. If I do not sleep by 12 in the night, I take a tablet to sleep. If I sneeze, I take a tablet to suspend sneezing. If I feel psychological depression, I take a third dose for depression. If I feel a stress and strain of mind, I use stress tablets.
Medical.
If I have headache, there are headache tablets. Something for the ear, something for the eye, something for the nose, something for the throat, for the tongue, for the teeth, for the lips, and the delicate skin between tongue and lips, each having a specialist to examine and decide the medicine. So you have a doctor for the ear, another for the eye, another for the nose, another for the interior of the nose, another to examine the beam of the nose. Like that, the Creator has created thousands and thousands of doctors for each limb to specialize. Each treats a part of your body, and the scientific truth is no one treats you. You are left to the mercy of God. Because from the viewpoint of the specialist, you are missing and your limbs are found. There is a little story of a guru and his 4 disciples. The disciples divided the various limbs of the guru to do service. One disciple was to look after the right leg, another the left leg, a third the right hand, a fourth the left hand. And the 2 disciples, one doing massage to the right leg and the other to the left leg, they differed upon a point and began to fight. And he said, the leg I am serving is very sacred. The other leg I'll kick it. It is dirty. So the one disciple kicked the left leg. The other disciple kicked the right leg. And the poor guru had arthros. This is the fate of those who get treated by specialists. So, you are left to God and your limbs are taken care of. If there is varicose, there is a specialist who carefully removes the tube in the leg. His science exists in removing the vein artistically. And he calls it cure. So he will kick the right leg. If you too believe that medicines cure, you are doing great harm to your own constitution. All other systems, including homeopathy, teaches us that medicines never cure diseases. What is it that is constructing your tissues daily, every minute and every second? You have to accept the existence of a peculiar dynamic force that is working in you, which the ancient and modern spiritual scientists called etheric body. Or you can call it the subtler body. You can call it as the finer body, made up of some substance which is not matter. Unless this force is working continuously in you, unless this force is continuously intelligent about you, unless this force knows something more accurate than what you know about yourself, unless this force knows something more than what you know, you have no reason to believe that your heart is beating while you are sleeping. You have no reason to attribute that your lungs are respiring as safely as they are doing while you are sleeping, as they are doing when you are awake. Even while you are awake, you are not taking care of your respiration. Something is taking care of your respiration. That something remembers every moment and every minute that you are to respire. If we are asked to take care of our respiration, we will forget about it within 5 or 6 minutes, because we are foolish to believe that there are more important things for us to do. And we begin to respond in the telephone to our friend. The mind goes to the friend. The respiration stops. The telephone drops from the hand. The body falls and the person dies. So, you have to accept that there is some intelligence, intelligent force that is taking care of you. It has many workers, band of workers working under its supervision. And we are blind to those intelligences that are working inside. Those intelligences know chemistry when we do not know it. They know what is oxygen and what is carbon dioxide. They make us inhale only oxygen and exhale only carbon dioxide, even when we do not know that a subject like a science like chemistry exists. Same thing with physics also. Before we know that the gravitational force exists, we are trained to stand without falling. And every animal has its own inner intelligence which makes it walk without falling against gravitational force. So we have every minute and every second salient proof that there is an intelligent force working in us for us. When we have our dinner at the table, discussing with our friends many things and forgetting about the materials we have taken in during dinner, this intelligent force is taking care of everything we have eaten. It is demanding the production of the secretions that are required for the digestion, and it is demanding the movement of the nerves and the muscles in the alimentary canal. It is demanding the peristaltic action of the muscles, and it is taking a continuous care of what we have taken inside and conducting the process of metabolism and elimination. So, from foot to head, there is no part in you which is not taken care of the intelligent force that is working. It includes thousands and thousands of disciples, which we call intelligent forces, who attend to the various functions in you every minute and every second. And these millions and millions are called by the ancient scientists and the most modern scientists Devas. Of course, the various branches of modern science are not yet conversant with the dimension of the Deva kingdom. Modern scientific brain is just quite new to the dimension, and it is only about 100 years since this dimension is once again introduced to the world, because it was known by the ancient scientists many times and forgotten by the ancient scientists many times. This is because scientific ages are interrupted by unscientific ages through time. And whenever there is the advent of a scientific age, gradually man becomes aware of these things one by one. And again, when the unscientific centuries interlude, man becomes more and more selfish, though more and more civilized. And the result is nations fight against nations, countries fight against countries, and groups fight against groups. And the human being commits mass-scale suicide in the name of global war. This is part of the behavior of the animal which we call man. And however educated the human creature is, the human behavior cannot be changed. Just as no one can change the behavior of a pig or a dog, no one can change the behavior of the human animal also. The result is there will be unscientific centuries once again when man begins to develop after a global war, searching for truth and groping in darkness as the aboriginal man. And the present mankind has once again come into the horizon of science only 2.5 centuries ago. And we are just entering into the real scientific dimensions in the 20th century. So, when you go into the scriptures of all nations,